You could have given up, but you didn't. You could have stopped believing, but you didn't. You could have kept living their expectations, but you decided to make this life your own. And in turn, you're here. Hello, everyone. Today we're meeting Magda Kay. She's an intimacy expert, a relationship coach, also the author and speaker. Please, Magda, thank you for joining us today.
Anna, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So let's start a conversation by diving into your journey of becoming the person you are today. What led you to discover your true passion in life? How did it start for you?
You know, to be fair, if I look at my life today, what it's all about, it is like my biggest gift is also my personal biggest struggle and my biggest wound. So I have a bit of this feeling that our soul is given like this big mission, this big lesson to go through. And part of my own healing or my own exploration is also to help other people on a similar path. Because, like you mentioned, I'm an intimacy coach. So I work with individuals around their love and sex life. So it's not necessarily something that, when I was a little girl, I was dreaming of doing. I was so, I was shy. I didn't talk about anything related to sexuality. And that's actually where my life took me. I needed to look into myself, my story, my past, and heal. I come from a household, unfortunately, where I didn't have a single example of a happy couple. So I grew up extremely cynical of love. And I got into my first like proper relationship when I was 27. And then I lost this relationship because I was inorgasmic. Back then, none of us knew how to talk about it. None of us knew what to do with that. And so when I lost, we all know like your first true real love, the guy you think that this is the one. And then, I lose it because of my own sexual blockages. So I knew I wanted to explore Tantra and sexual healing, but for myself, it was all for my own healing. But the deeper I was going into all of these teachings and experiences, the more I was realizing that like I am naturally really good at it and I'm meant to be here.
Mm.
So I was doing some coaching, more like life coaching and business consultation, and it was just shifting naturally towards this new dimension because I realized that wow, like I find it personally that what is usually our biggest gift or what is our biggest wound is also our biggest
Yeah.
gift. It's like this opposite reality that I think is true for maybe even all of us. So I'll be honest with you, Anna, I am just as surprised to be here today as probably many other people. That's where life
Wow.
took me. And I mean, it's always it's a combination of loving something I love, and I think you can relate to this. Any path we choose, there's always some challenges. But all in all, I have to be honest, I really love my life, and I'm really, really grateful that there are some moments when I decided to be courageous and take those really
Mhm.
scary steps that led me to this place.
Wow. Yeah, thank you for sharing your journey. And I think a lot of people would relate to that, that we first discover, like you just mentioned, some kind of wounds or something that needs to be healed for us to really integrate it in our and embody it in a way that we can see the opposite or like silver lining and all of that, and how can we now going through that experience can transform that and bring it to light and share with people so they don't have to suffer, they don't have to go through the same uh, painful or unpleasant emotions, and just be better equipped in the same type of scenario. And I think with you really discovering your sexuality and how you can connect with your true self and give yourself love, that would open up a new world for you. Would you say so?
Absolutely. it's the annoying saying, but it's true. All our dreams, they're outside of our comfort zone. The things we really want, they are outside of the comfort zone. And we know this, but what it means practically is that I need to be doing things in my life that feels scary, that I don't want to do, that don't feel good or aligned. They feel, really challenging, and I have so much resistance to them. But it's about being able to, like I said, take these few courageous steps, even when I don't want to. And I find that when we do, life truly rewards us. So I think, it's like any form of investing, right? The more risk you're willing to take, the bolder your moves are, then when you win really big. So I think it's the same in life. It's if we choose to explore these uncomfortable parts of ourselves, because healing is uncomfortable. And so
Mhm.
if we choose to do that, I find that yes, on the other side, the reward is amazing. But it does require, at least in my opinion, it does require to move through that discomfort and inner resistance. Because if we only, live and operate through, like, in the area that feels, like, yeah, this is good, like I'm safe here, then I don't think we are allowing ourselves to explore the full potential. It's the famous, you're probably familiar with this, the hero's journey, right? When he
Yes.
receives the call to adventure, and the first response is like, I don't want it because it's scary. And so this is part of the journey, to move through these obstacles, external and internal, to embark on this journey of exploration. And when we do, sometimes it's scary, and we need to fight demons. But when you return a hero. So each
Mhm.
one of us lives our own personal hero's journeys in our lives, and it's only up to us if we become the heroes or heroines of these stories.
Yes, definitely. And also, I think this part of our lives as being intimate first with who we are, knowing ourselves deeply, and be intimate with our true self, also becomes an obstacle of connecting with other people as well and building healthy relationship. Because again, we need to be safe in our body. We need to feel this connection and to be present, to be aware, not try to disconnect from it with type of addiction that's out there. And again, for us to be present, it has to be something that cultivated over time in a daily practice that brings us back to our body. And then we also have to kind of acknowledge every part of us, everything that's coming up for us. We have to face it. We have to kind of go through allowing ourselves to feel that emotion, to know where it's coming from. And that practice on its own builds that type of intimacy within ourselves. And I just want to know your opinion and your advice on how to better connect with our bodies so we can integrate in our own daily practice and become more aware of how is it that we're feeling.
So, Anna, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for what you said, because you gave my definition of intimacy. It's unfortunate that the way we use the word today, it's almost synonym to sex. It's not.
Mm.
Like I always tell, relationship to myself. So if I don't know how to drop into my body, so if I don't know how to be intimate with myself, I am not intimate with other people. You may think you are, but you're not. This is all those cases when, out of nowhere, your partner tells you that, like, you're never vulnerable with me. I don't know who you truly are. I feel like you're always acting and wearing a mask. And you'll be like, what do you mean? Yeah, it's because you're not intimate with yourself. So all intimacy starts here. So thank you so much for sharing that. I fully agree with that. But yeah, it's a good question. So what do we do to have this connection to our
Right.
body, to have that intimacy with ourselves? So I'll say this. the most important thing and the essential thing, like without this, you cannot experience intimacy, is to
Mm,
slow down. I'll
mhm,
give you a metaphor that I really like. So I'm pretty sure you've taken a train before, and I don't mean like a subway. I mean like a proper train that can go
mhm,
pretty fast. So when you're on this train and you need to get to another city, it's a great means of transport because it's being on the train. So I'm talking about like these proper fast trains. So if I need to get to another city, then of course taking a train is the best thing I can do because I'm gonna get there really fast.
mhm,
So it allows me to be efficient and effective. But if you're ever on this train, try looking through the window and how much can you see? Hardly
mm,
anything, right?
nothing.
It's just like really blurry. So you don't see things. You don't notice just because you're moving too fast. And another thing you can also think of is that if there's anything on the trail, like a branch or something, the train just drives over it, doesn't even react. Like it takes, I don't
Mm,
know, a car or something massive for the train to actually notice that, oh my God, I hit something. So in our Western culture, we're very fast. Each one of us is like this train
mm,
moving extremely fast through life. And so we don't get to notice things like those windows. Like our life kind of goes by blurry and fast. We don't notice other people. We don't notice the beauty of the sun or the rain or, the
mm,
butterfly. So we don't see them because they're blurry, but also we don't notice when we hurt ourselves or other people because we're like this speeding train that goes over these little branches and doesn't even realize that it just destroyed something. So the only way to be intimate with myself is that I need to slow down. I need to stop the train. Now,
mhm,
it doesn't mean that you cannot do in life fast things and you cannot be productive. I get it. I'm an ambitious woman myself. I like doing things, but it's about making sure that you have moments in your life when you slow down.
yeah.
So these can be intentional moments like meditation, taking a bath, going for a walk, just sitting in silence or journaling. And it's also all the places where I think we rush sort of on autopilot, but we don't necessarily have to rush. So something I try to practice is, if I enter the elevator, I really don't have to press the button to close the door. It's perfectly fine to wait those 2 or 3 seconds. And
Mhm,
if there is a bus or the green line is about to change, I let it go unless I really have to be somewhere on time and I'm running late. Hey, I can wait for the next bus. I can wait for the next green light. It's like I don't have to rush. It's like an instinct that we have. So
mhm,
the most important thing for anyone to connect to the body more is to start looking for ways when you can slow down. Because when you slow down, you realize that you're seeing things you didn't see before. So I mean, there are other practices you can do, but none of these practices will work if you're always moving really fast. But at the same time, if you just slow down, you realize that suddenly you have more sensations in your body. You can notice that there's maybe some pain in your body that you didn't notice before,
mhm,
that your body's trying to communicate something. You will feel more emotions, more pleasure. And so, without doing anything, just through slowing down, you're naturally more connected to your body. So, I always tell people to start here. I think, in my opinion, that's like the number one step. I wonder what's your views on this because I'm pretty sure you have a lot of experience here too.
Yes, and I've noticed that meditation or like exercising, working out, it brings your focus on kind of like improving yourself, and you also move your body and the energy flows, and it's kind of like everything that's stagnant, it's keep going and not keeping you in that place where you feel like you can't do anything, or you feel like um, disconnected, and you don't know how to start, how to take that first step. And by just integrating this type of practice, like me personally, I meditate, but I know some people find it, especially in the beginning, they don't trust how it's gonna work. but I would still advise to take it slowly, 5-10 minutes a day. Everybody can find. And again, the benefits of it over time is just, I see it, and I know people who shared with me. It improves a lot of aspects in your life and gives you that awareness, that mindfulness, being present. It's the most important skill, I feel like, one of the most important, to be here, to really to be engaged in creating that present moment, being a co-creator, I would say, and seeing for yourself what is it that you're experiencing, and not just like observing, but if there's some lesson that coming up for you to learn, you can learn it without waiting long time for you to understand what it was, right? So it's like you are faster at kind of like identifying how to navigate now, because the power is really in now, not in the past, not in the future. But for us to bring the awareness to now, it requires some effort from our side, again, to integrate it. And then it becomes second nature. And then it's easy for you to come back to this body, to be present. And also that way of connecting with other people is important, because they feel when you're not present, they feel like if you are disconnected with them, and that affects the relationship as well. So thank you for sharing your view on that. But I think slowing down, it's like crucial for us to understand that pretty much there is nowhere to be in rush for, really. Like, it's all in our hands. Like, we can find a way to experience this life in a more joyful way, and we are the ones that's gonna set up rules for ourselves and for everything to unfold the way we want to, right? If we understand that we're responsible for creating that, that means I don't have to put myself in a situation where I feel like I'm in rush, I'm in stress, I'm suffering. There's another way of doing it, and giving yourself time consistently, intentionally, for self-care, to connecting to your true nature. It should be your priority, like over everything. Nobody
Yeah.
else is more important than you. And it's not being selfish, it is important. And that's, I think, we don't see in the society right now. And we don't value ourselves enough to give ourselves that priority.
Fully agree. And something that came to me when you were sharing, you know, I think not that everyone does it, but I think our kind of our generation, we really like rushing, like you said. And then what happens is that, of course, at some point it's like, okay, I've had enough, I need to rest. And then our rest is really about being lazy. So when we talk about slowing down, I don't mean being lazy. I don't mean lying on sofa and eating something or watching Netflix. That's not that. So you can be really fast and really productive, but you don't have to rush. So one of the things I've been practicing, and it's not like I'm perfect at it, it's still work in progress. This is actually the belief that my father imprinted in my head. So it's taking me many years to change this, but I was always afraid of wasting time. So I developed, like on purpose, I developed a lot of habits of multitasking, because I felt, oh, if I'm like, I don't know, cooking while watching something, I'm like maximizing the use of my time. And I did it for so many years. So it really took a lot of work, and it still is taking work to change that and just do one thing at a time. So, for example, what I've noticed is that when I try to multitask, because I'm trying to rush, I feel exhausted. But if I do one thing at a time, I end my day with an incredible feeling of accomplishment. And I
Mhm.
usually do accomplish a lot of things, but I'm not stressed. I'm not tired. So I don't have the need to crash and watch Netflix or in any other way numb myself
Yeah.
because I didn't overuse my energy. So throughout all of these tasks, I was still productive, but I was moving fast, but I wasn't rushing. And it's this element of rushing. Because I
Mhm.
think sometimes when people think of this, like self-care, people think of like, oh, it's about meditating for 1 hour, taking a bubble bath, and like just you
Mhm.
never work. So there's a lot of people who don't go in this direction because they're like, I have my goals, I want to be productive. So I always say that intimacy, it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Right.
So you can still do a lot of things and you can be in that state of connection to your body while you do your things. But just focusing one thing at a time really helps to release that rushing energy that you mentioned and be more
Mhm.
present. It's what you said, be present. If I do multiple things, I'm not present, right? But honestly, just try single tasking and maybe you're gonna tick off less things during the day, but your nervous system will be better. And if you're really someone who wants to work a lot, you'll be able to work for longer hours because you're not exhausting your body. So it's like a
Mhm.
win-win. Your body is like taken care of through that. So I
Yeah.
get it that not everyone wants to spend hours of like this kind of physical self-care. And there are ways to do it, but you can go through all of the experiences in life being connected to your body.
Yes, definitely. And when you're present, you give your best at this moment. When you focus on doing something intentionally, that's where the magic happens, not with you multitasking and kind of like wasting your energy and not being productive, but rather focus on what is the next important step for me at this moment. That's all I can do. I can focus on that and give my best. And then something else will unfold. And also, like, trusting that everything that happens is for us, and it's for our growth, really. So there is nothing to be afraid of, even if it's unknown. Of course, it's unfamiliar. And that's what usually stops people from exploring. But again, this is how we grow. It's just part of the process. If we can accept that and really process our emotions on a daily basis and keep our health, I mean, in mental health and physical health in check. So we know that we're giving our best, we are recharging, we are focusing on refueling our energy, giving ourselves time to rest and to do something we love doing. Because, especially now, people on automatic pilot. A lot
Yes.
of people work 9 to 5. If you ask a person why you're doing what you're doing, a lot of times they don't know the answer. And it's just became like a habit. And this is how we operate. We don't stop, we don't ask questions, and continue doing that cycle. And again, we have to understand that it's okay to stop and change the direction. And
Mhm.
first, you have to in tune with how you're feeling about what you're doing. Is that really fulfilling for you? Do you feel that it gives you joy, that you are being creative? Because our ability of creating something is very important, and we have to give ourselves something to work on in terms of expressing who we are. And if we don't do that, we don't realize our full potential of why we're here in the first place. And I'm saying everybody is important. Everybody has unique talents, abilities. So you just need to discover what is it for you. But if you don't give yourself time, everybody's stressed, tired, anxious. They come home, they just lay on the bed, sleep, next day, same thing. But you have to start creating that time, maybe 2, 3 hours a day, or first start, I don't know, twice a week. But really, once you start doing something that you love, maybe as a hobby first, it could grow into something that will provide you a new opportunity and then you will see how your life could transform.
Mm.
So I think a lot of people are lost and they don't know what their passion is. And it's hard to kind of like enjoy life without doing what you love. I think it's important for us to connect with our, I would say, gifts that we're here to share in service for other people. And I don't know if you can just elaborate on how we can get in touch with our passion, with what we love doing, and what could help us to redirect our focus on what's important.
You know, Anna, there's a couple of things you just said that I really loved, and I want to kind of like pull them back. So I'm going to add, because I think this is what you meant, and I just want to add to this. If I move through life on the autopilot and I'm rushing and I'm tired, then of course I'm not gonna feel passionate about anything because I don't have time for passion. I'm too tired. I'm doing other things. I never like allow myself to enjoy life. So of course there's no passion in my life. So you know, people who yeah, just do kind of things, they don't know why they do them. And then it's not a shocker that you don't know
Mhm.
what your passion is, because there's no space in your life for passion. You like basically made all of your life so busy, so there's no space for passion. Even if it wanted to enter your life, it can't. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing. Like, unless we make some space for new things to come into our lives, they won't be able to come because there
Mm.
is no space. You know, it's this famous metaphor from the Buddhist story that if if I have a full glass, I cannot pour any more water for you. You have to first empty your glass. So looking for ways, how can I make some space in my life? Like you said, make some time, 2 3 hours a day. This is literally this. I am making time for
Mhm.
passion to enter my life. And I fully agree with you. I think a great place to start is look at hobbies and just do things. But you're
Mhm.
kind of telling the world, telling life or the universe, hey, here I have some space. I have, let's say, or maybe it's like 2 hours a week. I have these 2 hours a week. Please bring some passion and
Yeah.
let this unfold. It's going to unfold. It's not going to happen just like this, black or white. That's not how it works in life. But you're making space, and slowly it's going to fill up with something made of passion. Now, the second thing I wanted to add, and it's also something that you said. So, one of the things we see in relationships is, and it usually happens from a woman towards a man. So, a woman is done with the relationship, she's asking for a divorce or breaking up, and the guy is shocked. It's like, what? Why? And she's
Yeah.
like, I've been telling you for the last 2 years. You just never listen. And
Mm.
now I've had enough. So
Mm.
now there is the end of the relationship. So this ability to listen, it's
Mm.
crucial. The thing is that, she tried telling him in some maybe smaller ways, but he didn't pay enough attention because he was rushing too much. He was this fast train, not noticing what she was saying, what she needed, because everything was a blur. So if I live my life the same way, what we don't realize is that life whispers to us all the time. Life
Mm.
is asking us, hey, try this, do that. It's like life is telling you what it needs for you to find your passion. But
Mm.
most of us just don't listen because we're too fast and everything is too loud in our lives. So, this ability to listen, not just to your partner, right, but also to yourself, to your body, to any definition you may have of God or the universe or higher power, but actually listen to things. It's the same thing, when people get very sick, the body was communicating. The body
Mhm.
doesn't just get sick one day and before you had perfect health, it progresses. So we have to start listening. And again, the best way to listen is by slowing down. You mentioned the meditation.
Yeah.
So I find it great. It's literally 5 minutes a day. Imagine in the morning, in the evening, for 5 minutes, you're sitting with yourself, you're closing your eyes, and you're going into your body, and you just ask your body, how are you feeling? What
Mhm.
do you need? Is there anything you'd like to tell me? Were you happy today? where you said, like, talk to your body, and your body will be communicating with you. And slowly, everyone can find passion. Now, I don't think we necessarily need to have one passion. I like to talk about this as sense of aliveness. So what makes me feel alive?
Yeah.
So we all have things that make us feel alive, but it's a relationship, right? It's a relationship. And for the relationship to work, we need to listen. So if you're someone who rushes, never stops to listen, or never asks questions, which implies you're not interested in the answer,
Mm.
then life can't really give you much. So treat life like you would treat a relationship, like be in a relationship with life, use the same techniques and tools, and this relationship will get better. And so life will be giving you more of the things that you want. But yeah, if we just kind of ignore it, don't listen, and everything is a responsibility, or everything is just whatever other people do and say and I do, then it's like entering a romantic relationship with the assumptions like, oh my god, it just sucks and it's never gonna be good. Then it's
Mhm.
not gonna be good. The mindset and the intention behind everything really matters.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, if we can look at life as, like you said, a partner, and we establishing the most healthy relationship, and how is that gonna look like for us? What do we want from life? How do we want to build that life? Because we are an important part in all of this, but we are also co-creating it with um, some other force, I would say. And again, like, we can play our role in that relationship and listen and be receptive to what are coming back to us. Really notice and take inspired action, take that next step. It should feel like there is no resistance to it, really. If you just like follow your heart, if you are in tune with the life and your body and your present, you just take your next step, and you don't have to be stressed out. You don't have to be perfect. You're perfect just the way you are, and that's enough. So if we can accept that, um, there's nothing to really work on in terms of like rejecting some part of us, because everything is just whole, and we just need to reconnect and accept all parts of us and establish that intimacy. And I think once we really start loving ourselves and taking care of ourselves, not just saying, but really treat it as the most important thing, prioritizing, right? Making um schedule for what's important, creating that time. And I think the relationship with life, it will transform, and ultimately we're just gonna start feeling better. And I think like it also radiates with interaction with others, because again, people always feel like the energy that you bring in, not what you say. You look much more beautiful, much more magnetic when you're in a different, I would say, like frequency or state, right? So everything is energy. And I know you work a lot with the sexual energy as well. I think like a lot of people don't know how sexual energy is connected to um, the way we feel about ourselves, and also the creative mode, whatever we are expressing in this life, and how we can feel that joy and fulfillment. So if you can just educate us, tell us more about why is it important to focus on our sexual life as well, and to make sure it's healthy, and not being ashamed of that, and really learning about that, and knowing why is it important, how can it improve our quality of life.
Yes. So I have this metaphor. I love metaphors.
Yeah.
This one isn't very sexy, but I think it really helps. So imagine you have a house with
Mm,
many different rooms. And the way people treat sexuality is that it's one of the rooms. And maybe at the beginning, when you get the house, you visit that room quite often, but over time, you hardly ever enter and you spend most of your time in the living room and almost even forgetting that this other room exists. So that's
mhm,
how most of us treat sexuality, as a separate room that you sometimes visit. But what sexuality is the floor, meaning it's the base of every room in the house. Now,
mm,
this does require a little bit of a shift. So when I say sexuality, and that's I often say sexuality and not sex, because sexuality is so much more than penetration. So that's not what I'm talking about. Like intercourse, it's like a tiny bit of what sexuality really is.
yeah.
But at the core, we are all sexual because sexuality is actually the creative force. This is the energy that created everything. It's
Mm,
the sexual desire, the sexual act that creates life. Notice that, we have accomplished so much. Like our technology is literally crazy advanced, and we still cannot create life. The only thing that can create life is sexual energy. So, sexual energy on its own, this is the life force energy. And you can think of it this way, that when you are in love, when you desire someone, it's like you suddenly feel so lit and so alive. Before we're talking about passion, it's like you are so passionate
mhm,
when you want someone, because that sexual drive is the most powerful, the most amazing force in nature. So this is literally what makes you feel alive. So
mm,
people who are connected to their sexuality, they naturally have more passion in life.
mhm,
Again, when I say being connected to sexuality, I don't mean someone who sleeps around, because I think people
yeah.
often make this kind of assumption. That's not what we're talking about here. You can be celibate, you can be a virgin and still be connected to your sexuality, because we're talking about the
Mhm,
energy. So there's, of course, different things, like anything that will kill our sense of aliveness is killing our sexuality. So it's no coincidence that people who go to work and do not like their work, that they struggle in the bedroom,
mm,
because their lifestyle is killing their sense of aliveness, it's killing their libido and their sexuality. And we have correlations. So people who are very sexual, like they have appetite for life, you see it everywhere. These people cannot have a boring job that doesn't make them feel alive, because they just need that sense of aliveness. So it's connected. Like your lifestyle impacts your sexuality impacts your lifestyle, but
mm,
it's the foundation of everything. It's the source of creativity. It's the source of luck. When you feel like you're lucky, just kind of things happen
mhm,
for you. That is
yeah.
also actually that comes from the sexuality, from sexual energy. So
Mm,
it's such a pity that we live in times that, first of all, limited the whole sexuality to just intercourse, and, to be fair, a very unsatisfying intercourse, because we usually talk about
mhm,
very fast, no proper foreplay, etc. So like women don't even get to have fun.
yeah.
Um, so we've just like absolutely limited this beautiful concept into something that's like, I don't know, 3% of the full sexual potential of humanity. Because sexuality is literally the desire, the passion, the force behind moving forward. It's, life has desire to expand. If you look at nature, it's always for expansion. We
Yeah.
always want more. Even when you're happy, you want to be happier. When you have money, you want to have more money. When you're good, you want to be better. We have this natural instinct for more. All nature has it. And the
Mhm,
drive behind it, that's sexuality, that's sexual energy. So I wish that we stopped shaming it so much. I wish that we stopped equating this with intercourse, and we
mhm,
really understood what sexuality is about. We are made of sexuality. Like that's how we got here. So it's
yeah.
literally like sexuality is your feeling of being alive.
Mm.
That's
Wow.
how I look at it.
Yes, it's beautiful. And I think we should kind of like expand our perception of what sexuality is and to see the importance of that sexual energy as the foundation of really creating the life that we want and having the passion and creative outlet for something. And that is what drives us really. But we have to again treat it the way that it's sacred. It's something that we really have a birthright to. This is part of us, and we shouldn't be ashamed or feeling some kind of negative emotion towards cultivating that energy in our life, because we know that it's important. We know that I'm doing it for my own good, not just for my good, but the good of all people involved, because this is what will help me to become who I really am, to express myself. And that's the best that I can do here, not pretend to be somebody else, to try please other people, but really connect and bring out the best of me. And sexual energy will help us to do that. And if we can just embrace it and integrate in our life and cultivate it, so we can have that experience of a better enjoyment in both romantic, professional life, and I feel like it's just part of very important aspect of life that we have to redefine and look at differently and embrace it, and just know that it is sacred and it has to be just honored, I would say. This is
I
how I
love
look at
I
it.
love that you mentioned that it's sacred. I think if we talk about self-care, which we mentioned before, one of the ways to take care of myself is to actually accept and love my sexuality. You were saying a lot before about just accepting yourself, that you are enough the way you are, you're perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot possibly accept yourself if you don't accept your sexuality. So, like when I work with people, there's so much work I do around shame, because even people who may seem very sexually open on the outside, often they're compensating
Mm-hmm.
for all the negative feelings they have about sexuality in themselves.
Yeah.
So, in order to fully love and accept yourself, you have to fully love and accept that you are a sexual being, that you're made of sexual energy and the whole sexuality. And this is, because I'm training Tantra, this is exactly what Tantra does. Like we talk about Tantra as, just sex these days, but Tantra
Yeah.
is a spiritual path. And so sexuality becomes sacred and divine. And that's how you are meant to explore that. So,
Mm-hmm.
when we talked about mindfulness and meditation and slowing down and connecting to our body, be more intimate with yourself. Well, what happens when you become intimate with yourself is that you treat yourself as sacred.
Yeah.
Like you treat your emotions as sacred, you treat your needs as sacred, you treat your body, your sensations as sacred. And
Mm-hmm.
so I find that that switch, when that switch happens in your life, like in your mind, that
Mm-hmm.
everything that you are made of, everything that makes you is sacred and beautiful and perfect. This is really when things start changing exponentially in your life. But this has to include sexuality. Like you cannot separate it. Like I said, it's not a separate room in the house, it's the floor. Like you
Mm-hmm.
cannot rip the floor and hope to have a house. Like without the floor, there's no house. You need that foundation. And I think exactly just thinking of it as something sacred is a great way to start stepping into that self-acceptance.
Wow. Yes. It's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and wisdom. And for those who would like to connect with you online, how can they find you?
You guys can search for Magda Kay. It's Kay. and you'll find me on YouTube, you'll find me on Instagram, you'll find my website. I have a book as well, so you can find it. It's called No More Faking It. You'll find it on Amazon as well, or Audible. So basically just search Magda Kay and you can find anything you want about me. Lots and lots of free content, free webinars. So feel free to see what's there. Feel free to reach out through any of these platforms if you guys have any questions. And thank you to everyone who stayed with us, listened to our conversation. I really, really value your time.
Yes, thank you so much. And as we close today, what would be the thought for our listeners?
You know, I'd like to make a little summary, instead of giving you guys more tips, because I love listening to podcasts, but I'm someone who can listen. I'm like, wait, let's pause. What did I actually learn? And let me implement it. So it's not just me listening, but me experiencing a shift in my life. So I'd like to go back to the metaphor of a train. While a train is effective and it's going to get you to wherever you need to get really fast, it comes at the expense of the depth of your experience. Like if you, for example, choose to walk the same path, it's going to take you forever, but you're going to experience so much more. So in life, we have to find this balance. Sometimes we have to go fast, but sometimes we want to slow down so we can experience life. So allow yourself to experience life. That would be for me the main thought I'd love to leave you guys with.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Stay tuned.